these pictures were taken somewhere back in the 40s and 49 in Miami, Florida, and is still living at the zoo and recognizes me when I come in there. Me and Congo, my kids kind of grew up with Congo. He was kind of a young animal there. He must not have been more than a year or so old. We had a bear too. That's one of our helpers on the show here. I believe that was George. And the boy on the right, the black boy on the right, is Alfonso B. Duck. This is Alfonso B. Duck playing with a bear. That's his real name, Alfonso B. Duck. And there's the semi in the back that had the cage wagon in it. And I used to have a bunk in the front of that thing. I slept on some of the top of some of the cages in the truck. These pictures were taken in North Carolina at a drive-in theater. The friend of ours used to build drive-in theaters. The old kind didn't even have the humps. Put the speakers up on the screen. Just built a little building out there and drive-in theater. My father and the bear, black bear. That bear used to catch little fish once in a while in the creek and put them in a bottle of water, and he just loved to eat little fish. So, some of the old home movies, and I just thought I'd run them for some of the people might enjoy seeing them. Playing with the bear. The bear used to enjoy being out and playing with people. We put on old leather coats so the bear could grab you and not hurt too bad with his teeth, because he did have claws and he had teeth, and so you stick that leather coat in his mouth and it wasn't so bad because he didn't really try to bite to hurt. He just playing, and he was if you didn't have a leather coat on, you didn't want to play with a black bear. Loose on a show lot. Turn him loose during the daytime this way, and the crowd would be out there just milling around in the daytime when there was no show going on, and the animal would run after him, and they'd all run from the animal, and he'd only run so far and then he'd come back. I think that particular one was called Majingo, and he's small enough that his neck was still small enough he could have a muzzle on. These were local people in a little country town someplace that we showed, probably in the Carolinas. And this was a common occurrence. The animal would ride with my father on a motorbike downtown, riding the car, riding the truck as we made jump over the road. And it wasn't an uncommon occurrence at all for one of the animals to be riding inside of the truck. And that's my sister, I believe, running there. Didn't even know she was in there. That truck in the background there now is one that me and Jean lived in when we had Robert. It was also a cage wagon 40 years ago. Into there, that me and the wife lived in the front of that, and we had Robert 40 years ago, and that was my little show. And free show tonight, well, that's the medicine show came from free show tonight. Well, that's what we used to do. That's our old show front there, taken back in about the 40s or early 50s. Free show tonight, and movies in vaudeville. And that would get a crowd on the lot, and then we'd have the wrestling and boxing matches in the cages. And that's the old show front right there. Let me back up a little bit. Let's go back up a little bit here. That show right there. It's not open there. The canvas went around the cage so people couldn't see that didn't pay. And then that's the back of a semi-trailer. The doors opened up on the back, and you walk through there and into the big cage. And the bars was on both sides, and the fence kept the crowd back. And then this next one over here was like a little side show we had, that trailer. And then this is my father's trailer, mother and father's, my motorbike, my father. Now we're in the cage here in a wrestling match. This was in the one that we put in the arenas. If we showed an arena like in Tampa, which we showed Tampa and Miami and Sarasota and Atlanta and all the bigger towns, we had to put the cage, a cage made out of rope, stretched out over iron. And this This was Jimmy Ray. Now this wasn't a regular wrestling and boxing match because he played with the animal over and over, and it wasn't a rough bout. It was just a playing match on the floor. But this would have been Snooky or Joe, and a wrestling match inside the rope arena. It was actually a playing match but it couldn't be a rough fight because you had to use the same fighters. It was a big deal, and it wasn't like the little country towns we showed. It was big crowds. We'd set that up when they had a regular wrestling and boxing, regular wrestling matches. And then we'd set this cage up in the ring, and it would be a finale or the last bout of the night or something like that. It was something that my father tried, but the promoters took all the money, and didn't want to give a very big piece of the action, so he only did that for maybe 6-8 months, and that was as long as that lasted. Jimmy Ray has also passed away now. Jimmy Ray is a friend of ours, and that's Snooky. Snooky died about 20 years ago. Snooky's the one that I grew up with, that animal. My father couldn't whip me. That animal would tear the cage apart if my father went to whip me, and that animal could hear it. A good animal. The first one that we had. My father on the right now. No. Tide's kind of out. A few birds over there on the island where the pelicans, I've seen as many as 200 pelicans over there in the wintertime, hiding from the northwesters. And that's Crystal Beach. And this is 300 Bay Street, Ozona. We're looking at a channel over there near Crystal Beach where the little boats go in back in a cove in there, and there's lots of boats that people that live own boats back in there. And this is Crystal Beach across the way. That's their dock, sticking out their community dock. And just beyond that, there's a freshwater spring bubbles up in the salt water, out 200 feet offshore. There goes a mullet fisherman, quite common around Ozona. A lot of mullet fishermen. They spread out a net, gill nets. Used to put out pocket seines. Used to be acres of mullet. Now they're kind of rare. You don't see too many mullet now. It's time for the red roe and mullet to be running now. Northwesters come in the roe, and the fish get ready to run out. I see someone. Oh, that's a bush over there on the island. I thought it was someone. Abandoned boat over there in the middle of the island. Birds on the island. Here's another mullet fisherman coming in, and there's the sunset. Ozona. Mullet fishermen spread out their nets, go around the school of mullet. That's a typical mullet boat right there. The fellow standing up there on the front, steering the boat, a long handle. Usually there's only 1 or 2 people on the boat. That particular one has 3 at the moment. There's a little light bulb hanging out over the net at the back because they do most of their fishing at night after dark. And the motor sets up front, usually a tunnel, so it can get into very shallow water. And the island over there that the sun is setting on, the island over there is called Honeymoon Island. And there's a few condominiums there. There's a road over to it, and there's the rest of it's state-owned, and it's a popular beach and recreational area. And the sun's getting ready to set today on December the 7th in Ozona. And that's Pat's Landing we're looking at. The boat's over there at Pat's Landing. That's Pat's house there up over the marina. And this is Ozona at sunset. And there's always a pretty sunset in Ozona, and some of them are more spectacular in the middle of summer. And then, of course, it moves back in the wintertime to set. And there it goes out of sight. Now we just have the sky with the red sky. And here sets the Noell's Ark of the dock. Only went out at one time last summer. Can you believe that? I'm going to put this on your tape. I'll take a picture of your trailer too. I'll get a picture of your trailer.